You want a perfect example of what New York City will look like under Salami and Salami? You don't even need to wait. Just look up the New York tax program 485X. I'll explain to you why the government is bad at everything in less than 3 minutes. The 485X tax program in New York was intended to create affordable neighborhoods for families to help with New York's housing crisis. And did it do that? Will it do that? Guess. Because the tax program will have the exact opposite effect of its stated intent, and already has. The program states that you'll be eligible for this tax benefit if your building meets certain requirements, which are 20 to 25% of the units need to be affordable housing, and you have to pay an elevated wage over $40 an hour for everyone that's on site. Seems like a good idea till you look at it. This tax incentive and supposedly more units being built and supposedly higher paid wages for workers, well, it only kicks in on buildings that are 100 units or more. 90% of all residential construction filings for the third quarter in New York, wouldn't you know, are for buildings of 99 units or less. That's 194 applications for new residential buildings, many of which probably would have been over 100 units, maybe 150 units. But wouldn't you know, the wages actually even go higher when you hit 150 units. So now construction developers that were going to end up building buildings of maybe 100, maybe 150, maybe 200 or 250 units, they'll end up breaking that exact same project into now 4 or 5 smaller buildings. That will take up more space, waste more money, be less efficient, will take more time, and will result in less units. The construction companies will waste time and money, which means that the units will cost more and there'll be less of them. The higher wages forced by decree won't end up being paid, and everybody loses, except for the politicians that made you think that this was a good idea. And what do you think it'll do to the cost of the units to buy or rent? Well, it'll make them more expensive. More expensive housing, less of it, everybody loses money, it's totally inefficient, nobody benefits at all. And wouldn't you know, it all comes down to something very simple: math. Because what the bureaucracy and people with no business experience don't understand is that the developers, the capitalists, the people who put their capital up to develop cities, they build the city, not the politicians. So when you install a socialist who doesn't understand business and never had a real job in his life, you think he's going to be able to successfully negotiate with these developers to figure this problem out? Of course not. Because politicians, especially leftists that loathe capitalism and don't understand incentives, all they want and care about is the headline and the fake appeal to altruism. We're going to pay workers more and we're going to get more affordable units. Then when the dust settles and the rubber meets the road, you find out you get neither. But what this and so many obvious future roadblocks to come will do is they'll let Salami and Salami appeal to the voter base and say it's the greedy capitalists. Because the road to the dumpster is paved with bad policy. And if you have a bunch of inept, capitalism-loathing, leftist, socialist types that don't understand the most basic fundamentals of business, all they will do is appeal to your emotional heartstrings and not care about what actually happens. But this isn't even Chairman Salami. This is the clowns running the state right now. Imagine what he will introduce. Good luck.